Hello, welcome to Big Bang Radio Spotlights. This is the show where we talk to independent artists from all around the world all about their music and their process for making it. I'm your host, Isaac Anderson, and today I get to sit down with Nate from the musical project Merchant. Without any further ado, here's the interview. Well, Nate, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. I want to start at the beginning of your musical journey, just like we do with all the other artists that we talk to on the show. So the first question I want to ask you is, what is your earliest musical memory?
I used to get like really bad stomach aches at night, and like when I was like really young, like early elementary school, and my mom used to rock me to music to like soothing, make me feel better, and we would listen to like James Taylor and like just really like calming, like kind of like folk music. And that's like probably the first intro to music. When I like talked to my mom, like, how did I get to be musical? She's like, well, I was like playing you James Taylor when you were like 1 year old. So that's definitely one of the earlier ones.
Was anybody in your family like really like a musician, like really into music that really like sparked that in you, or was that something that you kind of more on your own? I don't know, how exactly did that work for you?
Yeah, I think both my parents were really into music, still are, and my dad is like music encyclopedia type guy, like totally like raised me on classic rock and Tom Petty and The Who and Led Zeppelin, like all that kind of stuff. And my mom actually plays a little bit. She plays a little bit of piano. My grandma actually had a piano at her house that whenever I would go visit her, I would play around on it and stuff, and always seemed to gravitate toward that instrument. And so she actually, gifted us the piano. And so I had this piano in my house kind of growing up, and my mom put me in lessons and stuff like that. And so that was kind of like my intro to like actually like being a musician and stuff. And I think my parents helped a lot in terms of like influencing me to pick it up and stuff like that.
When did this musical project Merchant actually start?
Yeah, so it was definitely during the pandemic. So I had just gotten out of a band, that I was a part of for a number of years called Papa Ya. And, I was kind of just focusing on just getting back to like writing and just creating a bunch of music. And so I took the time just kind of at the start of the pandemic where we were just locked down just to write a bunch of songs. So I wrote probably around, 50 or 60 songs. And then I kind of, realized that like a bunch of these kind of had like a style to them and like kind of were like stories about my life and things that were important to me and were pretty personal, and kind of realized that, maybe there was something here that I wanted to create as, an actual project.
How exactly does the songwriting process go for you? Do you tend to have just a whole song in your head? Is it more like you just have to kind of play around with things until you kind of hit inspiration? I don't know. How does the music side work for you like that?
It's definitely like a lot of melody first for me. So like a lot of the songs started, just playing guitar and, humming different melodies like without any lyrics. So a lot of times what I end up with, at the, genesis of a song would be, just like a melody with like no word, just like mumbles and like no lyrics and stuff. And then maybe like some chords, and I might have like an idea for like what like a drum pattern might be or like some sort of groove. And then that's kind of how I start things and decide if it's something worth pursuing for any further. And for me, lyrics are something that are like, definitely take a bit more work to come up with. And so I wait and see if the music is something worth investing the time to get the lyrics out of, because it's like sometimes the lyric process can be kind of like grueling and like days long of like journaling and like searching my feelings and trying to find the right way to word things and things like that. So one thing that was really important to me with the solo project was to like kind of just be really authentic and genuine and honest in the songs and really like express things that really meant something to me. And I think my development as a songwriter kind of like, I came to like a new phase at the start of this project with like, I might've been writing songs before thinking of like what people wanted to hear. And I think my process on this album was like, what do I have to say that's maybe different or unique, or just something that I want to express, and not even necessarily thinking about how it might be perceived. So I think it was more of like a pure and genuine process, which I was kind of pretty proud of.
You lived in Oregon for quite some time. You went to music school up there, and you are now in California, if I'm not mistaken. How was that transition? Like, what were some things that set well with you that that maybe were hard to adjust? And how do you feel now, and how the area has influenced your musicality?
It was pretty difficult at first, and I think I am somebody who like realized what I wanted to do in my life and what my passion was like fairly like early on, and I think a lot of my friends in college maybe were like trying to like figure things out still in terms of what they were interested in and where they wanted their life to go. And so I thought that kind of would make it easy for me to go to LA and fit in and find kind of my footing a little bit. And it turned out not to be true, and that like kind of your 20s are just a time of, like, people always say like, oh your 20s, you're just gonna be figuring stuff out, you're gonna be like shifting the pieces around, trying to figure out where you fit in and that kind of thing. And I kind of thought, I'm not going to have to go through that because I really know what I want to do. And I'm very like passionate about this. And I kind of have this figured out. And I think that, that maybe wasn't true. And I think it was good. And it kind of, the album is about that whole process of like moving to a new state and trying to figure out who you are and who you want to surround yourself with, and who you want to be, and who you want to, prioritize in your relationships, things like that. And yeah, so I think as of now, I mean, it's been amazing to be in LA once I figured out where I stand and stuff. And it's just a place, it's really inspiring, and you're around people who are, as passionate as you are and are trying to push the boundaries with things. And just being in a creative space that's sunny and not depressing like my rainy hometown is nice.
Something really interesting that I found out about you is that you had a couple little breakdowns of music production on your YouTube channel. There's one specifically about the I Don't Feel Like Dancing music breakdown. You look like someone that really loves gear. I mean, you got some synths behind you. You got some cool barefoot monitors, which are not cheap, but they're super, super good. So that's how I know that you spend some time on VintageKing.com and all this kind of stuff. So I want to ask you, if you could pick one drum machine, one synth, and one plugin to use for the rest of your life, which one? What would they be?
Drum machine would be Lynn. Synth would be Juno 106. I'm just gonna go basic and just say like a Pro Q3. Gotta have a good EQ. That's probably like a lame answer, but that's the best utility I have.
I want to hop onto your new record right now. It's called Beautiful Meltdown, and it was produced by Duran Duran's John Taylor. What were some of the biggest takeaways that you got from this album, and just in general, what does this mean to you?
I think this is the first time that I let myself use songwriting to like work through what I've been through in my life. And I think that is like, I think you hear a lot of people say that like, oh, songwriting is my journal and it's my therapy and stuff like that. And I always thought it was kind of like cheesy and stuff, but like that actually is kind of what I did on this album. And it actually was really nice. And I think just no matter what the fate of the album is commercially, I think that I'm like pretty satisfied with like being able to create kind of like a time capsule of what my life was and what my feelings were and how I was processing life events and trauma and relationships and all sorts of things that are in there. And I guess I'm just proud of the honesty and the effort that I put into it. And, I'm someone who definitely, I've always put my all into crafting the sounds and the, little sparkly thing in the back that no one's going to hear and all that kind of stuff. And I think I put equal effort into trying to reveal things about myself and tell my story through the songs as much as I did the production and the snare sounds and all that kind of stuff that I geek out about. So I think that was something I'm pretty happy with.
Well, the record is out now for everybody to listen to. And if people want to keep up with Merchant, how can they find you online?
At It's Merchant on all social media. TikTok's the only one that's different. It's Merchant Music. But yeah, come say what's up.
Well, Nate, thank you so much for joining us today once again. But before you go, I got one more question for you. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a Big Bang Radio Spotlight before, but I'm a musician, but I also love film. And I believe those two worlds are not too far away from each other, and musicians have a soft spot for it. So before you go, what is your favorite movie?
In terms of inspiration and songwriting, I would say Good Will Hunting. My favorite actual, like, visually, I would say Mad Max Fury Road.
Thanks to Merchant for sitting down with us and talking all about his music. If you want to see more interviews just like this, you can find us online at Studio 67 NCC. Thank you all for watching. I'm Isaac Anderson, and until next time, stay lovely.